Okay, one down, one question down. And guess what? I think that was the easiest one. So we're on to question 2. So I posted that. So if you would look at that with me, 2018 free response question. Oh, let me clear out our board from last time. This one says the following: an environmental science teacher at high school. Well, let's say that was Mr. Soul, Mr. Mike Soul, with a large population of students, wanted to estimate the proportion of students at the school who regularly recycle plastic bottles. The teacher selected a random sample of students at the school to survey. Ooh, we like random. Each selected student went into the teacher's office one at a time and was asked to respond yes or no. Bernoulli trials, remember, yes or no, can only be 2 outcomes, to the following question: do you regularly recycle plastic bottles? Based on the responses, a 95% confidence interval, we just got done having a quiz on that, of students at the school who would respond yes to the question was calculated. Let me write that up on the board too. The interval is from 58.4 to 81.6. That's our interval. Somewhere in there is our true proportion, okay? So we've begun. So let's continue. A says, how many students were in the sample selected by the environmental science teacher? Now, I think I did one question similar to this before our quiz. I don't think there was a quiz question on it, but keep in mind the formula for a confidence interval with proportions was this: p hat plus or minus z star times the good old, we're talking about that even now, square root of p q over n. Okay? So that's our starting point. We need that. Now, let's see what we can fill in under that. Would you all agree a 95? Let's do the easy one first. We've said many times that Z star, 95% confidence. Remember, 95 inside, 5% outside. And let me get my calculator out. I know this by heart, but you may not. So let's go to second in distribution. Go to the distribution key, go to inverse norm, and we want half of that 5%, which is 2.5% or 0.025. And that gives me that number that I think we've grown to become quite comfortable with, 1.96. So we've got 1 out of 3 things we needed to get. Now, here is the little trick in this particular question. I think it's a trick. Usually, most of our questions, it was the other way around. You were given p hat, and you had to find the interval. Well, here, they're giving you the interval, and you've got to find p hat. So what I might do is find out what the whole interval, it is 81.6. And then you want this, what I'm getting at is you want the midpoint of that interval. That will give you p hat, because you know the interval would be the same on each side. So if we find the average plus, add the 2 together, 0.584 divided by, yeah, I should put that in parentheses because otherwise we're going to run into a problem. So once again, parenthesis 0.584 plus 0.816 in parenthesis divided by 2 gives 0.7. So p hat in this is 0.7. So we're moving and grooving here. We're doing good. Now, with the 0.7, we can say what? The square root of p, which is 0.7, times q, which is 0.3, over n. Now, there's not a whole lot of algebra in this course, but in this case, you need a little algebraic manipulation. Now, I would suggest squaring the whole thing to begin with. So we're going to square the entire thing to get rid of the radical, and we're going to manipulate down to, this would become squared, 1.96 squared times 0.7 times 0.3 over n, 0.3. Now these, by squaring here, we eliminate the radical. And that is over here, plus or minus 0.7. Now, we're trying to find n here, so let us do it. 1.96 squared just checking my answer, making sure it is correct. I ended up, once I simplified this here, I believe, let me look at this. Sorry. Remember, these are unscripted information sessions. We do not need the 0.7. So let us I think we're going to go to take 2.